There are places in China that make you question whether you're looking at a real landscape or a world that exists only in imagination. A flame burns right on the surface of a lake. Brilliant red hills stretch across the land like a giant artist's palette. Clouds pour over the edge of a cliff like a cascading waterfall, while thousand-year-old glaciers continue their slow, silent journey through ancient forests. How can a country as vast as China still keep so many incredible wonders hidden from the world? And the most remarkable part is that these are only a few pieces of China that most of the world has never seen. Today, we're exploring the hidden wonders of China, where every destination reveals a completely different side of this vast and extraordinary country. Dongchuan Redland, hidden among the rolling hills of Yunnan province, Dongchuan Redland is one of China's most spectacular natural wonders, where vivid red earth weaves through green, golden and brown farmlands spread across the mountainsides. Dongchuan's signature red soil was formed by iron-rich minerals that gradually oxidized over time. After every rainfall, the crimson earth becomes even richer in color, standing out in striking contrast against the surrounding crops. Local farmers grow potatoes, corn, rapeseed, and a variety of seasonal crops, allowing the patchwork of colors to shift throughout the year as each harvest comes and goes. The gently rolling terrain also allows sunlight to reach the terraced fields from different angles, changing the appearance of both the soil and the crops from morning to evening. The harmony between the region's unique geology and generations of farming has given Dongchuan a character unlike anywhere else, where every season tells a different story through the colors of the land. Emerald Lake. Emerald Lake looks like a giant color palette that nature is still perfecting. Across a vast expanse of white salt flats, hundreds of small pools shimmer in every shade of green, from emerald and turquoise to deep blue, scattered across the barren landscape like precious gemstones. Each pool carries its own distinct hue, spreading across the salt fields of Qinghai Plateau in an extraordinary display of color. Beneath that beauty lies the legacy of abandoned salt mines, where mineral-rich water slowly accumulated over time, gradually giving each pool its own unique shade. As the sun moves across the sky, shifting light reveals different layers of minerals beneath the surface, allowing the entire lake system to slowly change color throughout the day. At Emerald Lake, even the exact same viewpoint rarely looks the same twice, as if nature is still putting the finishing touches on its own masterpiece. Baicheng Flaming Spring. Water and fire were never meant to exist together, yet at Baicheng Flaming Spring, a real flame has been burning directly on the surface of the water for years. Deep beneath the ground, natural gas continuously rises to the surface and ignites on contact with the air, keeping a small spring in the barren landscapes of Xinjiang illuminated by a flame that never goes out. Surrounding the spring are barren hills stretching all the way to the horizon, where rock, sand, and relentless wind leave little trace of life. Yet in the middle of that silence, the flame continues to burn day after day, flickering across the water like the quiet heartbeat of the earth itself. After sunset, the fire becomes even more striking against the darkness, turning the spring into a phenomenon that feels both mysterious and almost impossible to explain. Daocheng Yating Nature Reserve. Some places are so beautiful, they look as if they were created with cinematic visual effects. Daocheng Yating Nature Reserve is one of them. Rising more than 4,000 meters above sea level in western Sichuan, snow-covered peaks surround a chain of crystal-clear glacial lakes, where the water reflects the sky, and towering mountains with remarkable clarity. Bands of white glacial sediment trace the edges of the lakes like natural borders, making the brilliant turquoise water stand out even more against the rugged alpine landscape. As sunlight shifts throughout the day, the lakes transition from deep blue to vivid emerald, revealing an ever-changing spectrum of color. The mountains, lakes, and valleys here have remained largely untouched, preserving a landscape so pristine that photographers willingly travel great distances for the chance to capture it with their own eyes. Tianmen Mountain Cave. Tianmen Mountain is home to a natural stone arch soaring more than 130 meters high, piercing straight through the mountain as if the entire peak had been split apart. From the base of the mountain, a staircase of 999 steps climbs directly toward the opening, while the legendary road with 99 switchbacks winds its way along the mountainside before reaching this remarkable landmark. Whenever low clouds roll in, the massive arch gradually disappears behind drifting mist before emerging again as sunlight breaks through, constantly transforming its appearance. According to local legend, this is where heaven and earth meet, giving rise to the name Tianmen, or Heaven's Gate. Tianmen Mountain brings together Zhangjiaji's three defining icons: the natural gateway carved through the mountain, clouds flowing endlessly through the opening, and the famous road with 99 dramatic switchbacks hugging the cliffs below. Yanzi Mountain. The mountains of Yanzi Mountain in Gansu Province stretch across the landscape in striking bands of pink, red, and white that stand out against the surrounding barren terrain. As sunlight sweeps across the slopes, the colors continuously shift, giving the entire valley a different appearance throughout the day. It's hard to believe these vibrant layers are entirely the work of nature. Over countless geological eras, mineral-rich rock strata were gradually lifted upward before wind and rain exposed them, revealing sweeping bands of red, pink, and white across the mountain sides like brushstrokes painted by time itself. Each layer preserves a different chapter of Earth's geological history, written directly into the face of the mountain. Although it rivals the famous Rainbow Mountains in beauty, Yanzi Mountain remains largely overlooked, allowing its peaceful atmosphere and extraordinary geology to remain remarkably well preserved. Sapu Mountain. Sapu Mountain rises beyond a turquoise lake with a snow-covered summit that appears almost perfectly shaped. From a distance, the entire peak resembles an ice pyramid rising dramatically from the Tibetan plateau. The contrast between brilliant white glaciers and the deep blue lake creates a landscape that feels both powerful and remarkably serene. Massive glaciers extend from the mountain slopes all the way to the water's edge, where the lake mirrors the entire summit with stunning clarity. But the view rarely remains the same for long. The moment clouds drift through the valley, the mountain can disappear into the mist, only to emerge again beneath the sunlight a few minutes later, as though an entirely different peak has taken its place. Longto Mountain Cliff. At Longto Mountain, the clouds never stay on the summit. Layer after layer spills over the cliff's edge before cascading down the pale rock face like a river flowing through the sky. Behind the moving clouds stands a nearly vertical cliff, rising almost 1,200 meters above southern Shanxi province. Clinging to the edge are narrow walkways and observation decks that overlook the vast valley far below. Whenever a sea of clouds rolls in, the entire pathway disappears into a blanket of white, blurring the line between the mountain, the clouds, and the sky. Then, only minutes later, a shift in the wind pulls the clouds apart, revealing the towering cliff once again. At Longto Mountain, the most spectacular moments never last for hours. Sometimes the sea of clouds appears for only a few minutes before fading away, leaving the mountain standing quietly beneath an open sky. Shexian stone terraces. From above, Shexian stone terraces trace sweeping contours across the mountainsides of Hebei province. Thousands of terraced fields wrap around small villages, and when the rice ripens, the entire hillside turns into a sea of brilliant gold, stretching toward the horizon. What makes this landscape truly remarkable is that it wasn't shaped by nature alone. More than 700 years ago, local villagers stacked each stone by hand to hold the soil in place, channel water, and transform steep mountain slopes into productive farmland. Century after century, those dry stone walls have continued to support both the fields and the communities that depend on them. Today, Shexian stone terraces are more than a breathtaking landscape. They stand as a lasting testament to how generations of people patiently transformed barren mountainsides into a living masterpiece. Tiantai Mountain Waterfall. Tiantai Mountain Waterfall plunges nearly 325 meters, turning an entire mountainside into a curtain of rushing white water surrounded by the forests of Zhejiang province. From a distance, the waterfall appears as little more than a thin white ribbon across the mountainside. But the closer you get, the thunder of the water and the dense mist reveal its true scale. The rushing water descends in multiple tiers, weaving through steep cliffs before pouring into the valley below, where thick mist spreads throughout the surrounding forest. Every second, thousands of tons of water crash downward, sending subtle vibrations through the ground as moisture fills the air. Standing at the base of the falls, the sound of wind and bird song gradually disappears. All that's left is the roar of the waterfall, echoing through the mountains, powerful enough to drown out everything around you and remind you of nature's raw force. Eye of the Pamirs. Amid the vast Pamir Plateau, the earth opens into a mysterious eye, known as Eye of the Pamirs. Concentric mineral pools surround a deep blue center, forming a striking pattern that stands out against the barren landscape of far western Xinjiang. As mineral concentrations and sunlight shift throughout the day, the pools change between shades of blue, turquoise, and white, giving the eye a constantly changing appearance. Surrounding it are sweeping grasslands and the snow-covered peaks of the Pamir Mountains, creating a remarkable contrast between the harsh plateau and the crystal-clear water. Viewed from above, the entire formation resembles an enormous eye, quietly watching over the surrounding landscape. With every change in light or weather, the eye takes on a different expression, making this natural wonder appear almost alive. Ruergai grassland. Ruergai grassland is where the Yellow River unexpectedly slows down, winding through vast alpine wetlands during its 5,400-kilometer journey across China. Instead of rushing forward, the river spreads into countless meandering channels that weave through marshes, grasslands, and broad lakes. The landscape is divided by an intricate network of waterways, where graceful curves stretch across endless green meadows. Scattered throughout the grassland, herds of yaks graze peacefully beneath the open plateau sky as low clouds drift quietly overhead. Beyond its breathtaking scenery, Ruergai is one of China's largest alpine wetlands and serves as the cradle of the Yellow River before it continues its journey across nearly half the country. It's remarkable to think that before becoming one of Asia's most powerful and influential rivers, the Yellow River begins its journey in a place of such extraordinary calm. Milk Lake. Milk Lake looks as though it has been filled with milk in the middle of the vast grasslands of Inner Mongolia, China. Instead of the familiar shades of blue, the entire lake is covered in a smooth white surface that stands out against the endless prairie. Its distinctive white color comes from an exceptionally high concentration of dissolved minerals, giving the water its silky appearance while reflecting clouds with remarkable clarity on calm days. A glass bridge extends into the middle of the lake, offering the sensation of walking across an endless sea of white. When the wind dies down, the lake and the sky blend together so seamlessly that the boundary between them slowly disappears. Only after standing in the middle of this endless expanse of white do you truly understand how nature can create colors far beyond anything the imagination expects. Bipengu Nature Reserve. The most remarkable thing about Bipengu Nature Reserve isn't its snow-covered peaks. It's the way the entire valley seems to transform with every passing cloud and every changing season. Towering snow-capped mountains rise above dense conifer forests, while broad alpine meadows and crystal-clear glacial streams wind through fields of scattered boulders below. Clouds drift across the mountainsides, sometimes concealing towering cliffs, then revealing brilliant white glaciers stretching all the way into the valley. By autumn, the forests glow in brilliant shades of gold. Winter covers the entire valley in fresh snow, giving the same landscape a completely different character. As the seasons change, Bipengu is constantly reinvented, offering a different experience every time nature turns the page. Laigu Glacier. Hidden deep within the mountains of eastern Tibet, Laigu Glacier is where ancient rivers of ice continue their slow descent into the valleys below. Brilliant white glaciers flow directly from the mountain peaks into crystal-clear turquoise lakes, where ice, rock, and water meet along the same mountainside. As clouds drift overhead, shifting light reveals different shades across the glaciers and lakes, subtly transforming the landscape from one moment to the next. Standing at the edge of the glacier, you can truly appreciate these towering walls of ancient ice, still enduring at elevations above 4,000 meters. While many natural wonders have become familiar tourist destinations, Laigu Glacier remains quietly tucked away among Tibet's mountains, preserving an icy landscape that still feels untouched. Fangshan Mountain. Fangshan Mountain is often mistaken for an ancient fortress hidden among the mountains of Zhejiang province. Only after getting closer do you realize that its towering walls are entirely natural, with sheer cliffs surrounding all four sides, while the summit remains unexpectedly broad and flat. At the foot of the mountain, temples and narrow pathways hug the base of the cliffs, making the scale of the surrounding landscape feel even more dramatic. But the biggest surprise comes after reaching the top. Resting on the level summit are peaceful lakes, forests, and centuries-old temples, forming a quiet world completely separated from the steep rock walls below. That striking contrast makes Fangshan Mountain unlike almost any other landform, where every step reveals another unexpected view. Chagan Lake. Every winter, when Chagan Lake in Jilin province freezes into a vast sheet of ice, an extraordinary tradition unfolds despite temperatures well below freezing. Hundreds of fishermen drill large holes through the ice, lower enormous fishing nets beneath the frozen surface, and haul them back using techniques that have been passed down for more than 1,000 years. Within just a few hours, the quiet lake erupts with thousands of fish thrashing beneath the ice, transforming the frozen surface into a scene of remarkable energy in the middle of winter. What makes this event truly special isn't simply the size of the catch, but the fact that the entire process has been preserved almost unchanged across generations. That's why Chagan Lake is more than just a lake. It is one of the few places in the world where this centuries-old fishing tradition continues to thrive today. Mount Gonga. Rising 7,556 meters above sea level, Mount Gonga pierces through thick layers of cloud, revealing brilliant white glaciers high above western Sichuan. As the tallest peak in the region, it dominates the surrounding landscape with sheer rock faces, sprawling glaciers, and snow-covered summits stretching toward the horizon. Dozens of glaciers descend from the mountain into the valleys below, where turquoise alpine lakes reflect snowfields and ancient forests. At sunrise, the highest peaks gradually glow beneath the first light of day, while a sea of clouds continues to drift around the mountainsides, constantly reshaped by the wind. Together, they reveal a landscape layered with remarkable depth, where every viewpoint offers a different perspective of southwestern China's vast mountain wilderness. Tongli Ancient Town. There is a town in China where the streets weren't built for cars, but for wooden boats quietly gliding through centuries-old canals. That place is Tongli Ancient Town. More than 1,000 years of history live on in its stone bridges, grey-tiled rooftops, and still waters reflecting the entire town. Narrow alleyways wind alongside the canals, connecting well-preserved homes dating back to the Ming and Qing dynasties. Each morning, the gentle sound of oars brushing against the water blends with the slow rhythm of daily life, making time itself seem to move a little more slowly. Among China's many famous ancient water towns, Tongli has preserved an uncommon sense of tranquility, offering a glimpse of the historic Jiangnan region that continues to endure today. Moshi Park. Moshi Park is home to thousands of towering black stone pillars rising straight from the ground, giving an entire valley in Sichuan the appearance of a science fiction landscape. Over countless geological eras, wind and rain sculpted the rock into an astonishing variety of shapes, forming one of China's most extraordinary stone forests. As clouds drift across the mountainsides, the stone pillars fade into the mist before emerging again beneath changing sunlight, revealing intricate textures and distinctive shades of gray. No matter where you stand, the landscape is constantly transformed by shifting light and moving clouds, making every view feel different from the last. In that remarkable silence, each stone pillar seems to preserve a chapter of Earth's geological history carved into the landscape over immense spans of time. Danbajiaju Tibetan Village. Danbajiaju Tibetan Village stretches across the mountainsides of western Sichuan, where hundreds of white Tibetan homes with distinctive red rooftops blend seamlessly into the surrounding landscape. Widely regarded as one of the most beautiful Tibetan villages in China, it is a place where traditional architecture and everyday life have remained closely connected for centuries. The homes are surrounded by forests, orchards, and terraced fields that change color with the seasons, while snow-covered peaks rise in the distance as a dramatic backdrop. At sunrise, the first rays of light gradually illuminate the rooftops, filling the entire village with a warm golden glow. From above, it becomes difficult to tell where the village ends and the mountains begin, as though people and nature have shared the same landscape for generations. Redstone Forest. Thousands of towering redstone pillars fill the valley of Redstone Forest, forming endless rows that evoke the remains of an ancient city long since forgotten. Across countless geological ages, wind and water carved the rock into towering walls, narrow passageways, and stone pillars of every imaginable shape, making each turn reveal an entirely different view. As the sun moves across the sky, the cliffs shift from vivid orange-red to deep shades of brown, giving the entire stone forest a constantly changing appearance. Walking through its winding paths feels like exploring a labyrinth sculpted by nature over immense spans of time. The deeper you venture inside, the more surreal the landscape becomes, as though the outside world has quietly disappeared beyond the stone walls. Taoxiao. Some mornings at Taoxiao, arriving just a few minutes late, is enough to miss the most spectacular moment of the day. As the first sunlight reaches the mountain peaks, layers of white clouds begin rising from the valley, leaving the mountaintops floating like islands above an endless sea of clouds. The view changes constantly with the wind, revealing rugged mountains one moment before swallowing them completely in drifting mist the next. Because the clouds are always in motion, no two mornings at Taoxiao ever look exactly alike. For photographers, every appearance of the cloud sea is a fleeting opportunity that lasts only a short time. And that's precisely why the memory people take home isn't just a beautiful photograph, but the feeling of having witnessed a performance that nature will never repeat in quite the same way again. Namso Lake. At Namso Lake, there are moments when it's impossible to tell where the water ends and the sky begins. Its deep blue surface stretches all the way to the horizon, where land, water, and clouds merge into a seemingly endless expanse. Situated more than 4,700 meters above sea level on the Tibetan Plateau, it is one of the highest saltwater lakes in the world. Snow-covered mountains surround the lake, their reflections resting on the calm water, while shifting sunlight transforms the surface from brilliant turquoise to deep sapphire within moments. On windless days, the lake perfectly reflects the clouds and distant peaks, making the sky appear to extend all the way to the water. The farther you look, the more the lake and the sky blend together, opening a horizon that seems to have no end. Baisha Lake, few places bring together white sand dunes, a crystal-clear lake, and snow-covered mountains in a single landscape. That is Baisha Lake, where brilliantly blue water meets sweeping white dunes, with the snow-capped Pamir Mountains rising in the distance. The slightest ripple across the lake sets the reflections of the sky and surrounding peaks into motion, making the entire landscape feel suddenly alive. Throughout the day, the water shifts from vivid turquoise to deep blue, creating a striking contrast against the pale sand and the rugged mountains beyond. That rare meeting of snow, desert, and water gives Baisha Lake a character unlike almost anywhere else, leaving a lasting impression long after you've gone. Shuangru Peaks. Among the countless mountain peaks of western Sichuan, Shuangru Peaks stand out immediately. The remarkable symmetry of the twin granite formations gives them the appearance of a carefully sculpted work of art rather than a naturally formed geological feature. Surrounding them are alpine meadows, ancient forests, and snow-covered peaks that define the rugged beauty of western Sichuan. As clouds drift across the mountain sides, the twin peaks fade into the mist before emerging again beneath shifting sunlight, revealing rock textures shaped by wind, rain, and ice over immense spans of time. For the Tibetan people, these peaks are more than an extraordinary landscape. They are a sacred place, where every journey past them is approached with reverence rather than conquest. High Luogo Glacier. High Luogo Glacier appears as a motionless mass of ice, yet beneath its frozen surface, the glacier continues its slow journey down the valley. It is one of the few glaciers in China where visitors can get remarkably close without climbing snow-covered peaks. Flowing from the eastern slopes of Mount Gongga, the brilliant white ice winds through ancient forests before descending into the valley, creating the rare sight of glaciers and lush woodland existing side by side. With each passing season, fresh snowfall, ancient ice, and glacial meltwater continually reshape the landscape, while drifting mist softly veils and reveals the valley below. Standing before Hailuogu, you aren't simply looking at a glacier. You're witnessing a river of ice that has never stopped moving for thousands of years. Larongga Buddhist Academy. At first glance, many people mistake the countless red dots covering the mountainside for an optical illusion. Only when they get closer do they realize they are looking at thousands of wooden homes forming Larongga Buddhist Academy, one of the world's largest centers of Tibetan Buddhist learning. Rows of crimson houses climb the steep slopes, stacked one above another until they reach the mountain top, covering nearly the entire hillside. Every day, tens of thousands of monks, nuns, and students study, pray, and live here at an elevation of more than 4,000 meters, turning the mountainside into a remarkable living community. As the sun sets, the entire settlement glows beneath the last light of day, standing out against the surrounding mountains. Even as the world continues to change, life here follows its own quiet rhythm, leaving visitors with the feeling that they have stepped into a place where time moves differently. Dadu River Canyon. The immense scale of Dadu River Canyon makes even the mighty Dadu River appear as little more than a narrow ribbon winding across the valley floor. Over countless geological eras, the river steadily carved through solid rock, creating a dramatic canyon with towering cliffs rising thousands of meters on both sides. From above, the river looks so small that it's hard to imagine it was the force that shaped the entire landscape. Bands of cloud drift across the mountain ridges, alternately revealing and concealing the canyon as the weather constantly reshapes the view. When sunlight finally reaches the valley floor, the Emerald River stands out against the dark canyon walls, creating one of the strongest natural contrasts in the landscape. Standing before Dadu River Canyon, what leaves the deepest impression isn't the river itself, but the overwhelming scale of a landscape that nature has been shaping over immense spans of time. These 29 remarkable places reveal a side of China that goes far beyond the landmarks the world already knows. From lakes with unbelievable colors and ancient glaciers hidden among towering mountains to villages and traditions preserved across generations. Each destination offers a completely different perspective on this vast country. So, which place surprised you the most? If you could visit just one of them, where would you go first? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoy discovering extraordinary places and breathtaking landscapes from around the world, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our next adventure. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.